when I was a kid, one of the most important, magical, exciting games to ever grace the home console market was Super Mario Bros. 3. This game was huge, and not just an incredible game, but a pop culture phenomenon. Famously, there was the reveal in a theatrical movie, which was really a commercial disguised as a movie. You had Happy Meal toys and a Saturday morning cartoon and the whole 9 yards. We were eating Mario cereal. It was a phenomenon. Very famously, a obese, mid-30s, basement-dwelling, diabetic permavirgin once described the reveal in The Wizard as being his generation's 9/11 and JFK, which is remarkably stupid. There is a kernel of truth into it, in that was a really big event for kids at the time. And Mario 3 was one of those games that just filled to the brim with secrets. It felt like there was no end to what you could discover in this game, which meant that there was a lot of bullshitters making up things they had discovered in this game. One of the rumors that was floating around my elementary school was that there was a power-up in there, I guess called Adventure Mario. Everyone referred to it as Indiana Jones Mario, where Mario would have a Indiana Jones-like fedora, and he would be able to hit things with a whip, almost Castlevania style. This power-up didn't exist in the game. As a wee lad, though, this was a time before the internet. I mean, the internet technically existed, but nobody had it. It existed in like military bases and colleges, I guess, but nobody was online. The internet wasn't this repository of useless trivia the way it is now. And even strategy guides were rare to come by back in the day. I mean, I don't remember a lot of game stores back in the late 80s, early 90s. There was a few, but primarily you bought your games in toy stores. Not a lot of strategy guides. There was Nintendo Power, whatever information it felt like trickling out at you. But by and large, you had to discover things in games yourselves, for better or worse. And that meant that people could bullshit. There was a lot of myths. And this was one of them. Now, what I find interesting about this myth is, well, first of all, as a kid, I scoured that game looking for it. I used the Game Genie to get, invincibility codes and the permanent, P-Wing flight powers, and I combed through meticulously every pixel of every level trying to find that power-up. Because I was assured by multiple sources that it was there. Everyone had, their brother's best friend's cousin whose dad works for Nintendo found it or something. Everyone was telling you that, no, it's there. It's in World 5. No, it's in World 7. No. I'm pretty sure it's in World 6. Yeah, it's in one of the ice levels. Pretty sure that's where it is. I scoured that game looking for it. Never found it. Years go by. I just accept that, kids were being kids and bullshitting on the playground. My dad totally works for Nintendo. No, he doesn't. Well, what was interesting about it was when I was 15, I moved from southern Maryland, Waldorf, Maryland, my old stomping grounds, up to Pennsylvania. Good 3-hour drive away from where I used to live. Completely different town, completely different area. And lo and behold, I hear one of my high school friends, as we're reminiscing about old games, mention that same myth. Well, this settles it in my mind. This is clearly not just something that some little bullshitter in my elementary school came up with. There's no way it would have spread that far. Clearly, this is something that someone made up in a TV show or in a magazine somewhere or whatever. Well, years go by and here I am an adult with the internet. This repository of all this useless information. Every stupid thing everyone has ever thought. Here it is, laid bare for us. And I have searched, and I have found no mention of this rumor. And don't get me wrong, I found places that cover these sort of myths. For example, famously, there was a myth of a sky temple in Ocarina of Time you could get to after you beat the game. It's not there, but the myth persisted, and I found multiple sources that talk about it. But no one has ever mentioned Indiana Jones Mario, Adventurer Mario, whatever it was supposed to be called. No one has ever mentioned it. And yet in 2 different areas, kids had this myth. Where did it come from? I would invite anyone in the comments. Had you heard of this? Do you know where this came from? It couldn't have just been what some, nose-picking 2nd grader down in Waldorf, Maryland thought up. It had to have come from somewhere. To this day, it bugs me. Years go by. Every once in a while, I think of it, and I do some Googling. I hit the Bing. I'll even dig up ask.com out of desperation. Can't find any mention of it anywhere. I don't know. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe just 2 different people thought up the same ridiculous nonsense. Or maybe it's just something that spread from school to school. Who knows? But I'll never forget the legend of Indiana Jones Mario, because it reminds me of a time when, again, for better or worse, there was a mystique to video games that in the age of, 100% complete walkthroughs 3 days after the game comes out, just isn't there. Well, Indiana Jones Mario, you'll always hold a special place in my heart, even if you were never truly there. Alright folks, that's all I got. TheBechtloff out.